Good morning, children. Welcome to this session of mine where I'll be teaching you tenses. Children, we all know that every sentence in English has a subject and a verb in it. The subject is the doer of the action of that sentence, and the verb tells us what the subject of the sentence is doing. Today, I'll be teaching you another aspect of verbs, but its name is slightly different. It's referred as tenses. Tenses play a crucial role in English language. Children usually imagine tenses to be a big mountain in English grammar which they would never be able to climb. But the reality is, it is not as tough as they think. It is just a form of verb. The difference is, it is that form of verb which tells us the time when a particular incident happened. Tenses help us to talk about an action happening in the present, or about an action that's over, or about an action that would happen in the future. This means tenses indicate actions in the present, past, and future. Yes, children, these are the three parts of tenses. To render a clear understanding about the time of the action, each part is further subdivided into four subparts. Isn't it surprising to hear that verbs could be changed into so many forms based on the time aspect? It is. So let's get to know more about tenses. Tenses, as it is divided into three parts: past tense, present tense, and future tense. And each part is divided into four subparts to render a clear understanding about the time of the action. Let's start with the past tense. The subparts of past tense are simple past, past progressive, past perfect, and past perfect progressive. The next part of tenses is present tense. The subparts of present tense are simple present, present progressive, present perfect, and present perfect progressive. And the last part of tenses is future tense. The subparts of future tense are simple future, future progressive, and future perfect. Today we'll be learning about simple present and simple past. Present tense is used to describe a current activity or a state of being. Simple present tense is a part of present tense. Now, before teaching you the rules of simple present, let me tell you where it is used. We can express our habits and daily routine in simple present tense. For example, I brush my teeth twice a day. She often kisses her baby. We can express a general truth in simple present tense. By general truth, I mean anything that is true in the present. For example, Mr. Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of India. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. They are my neighbors. She does her work hastily. Magnets attract iron. I am a teacher. My parents have many friends. Tommy has a bushy tail. Our parents do a lot for us. Scheduled events can also be expressed in simple present tense. For example, this plane flies to Mumbai every Sunday. Restaurants close by 11 p.m. on weekdays. We can also express instructions in simple present tense. For example, Open your book to page 34. The words in blue in these sentences are the verbs. When I say verbs, it includes main verbs as well as auxiliary verbs. Let's categorize these words under the two headings respectively. Children, the auxiliary verbs that can be used to express something in the present are is, are, am, have, has, do, and does. The action words appear under the heading main verbs. Children, did you notice that all the main verbs are not alike in nature? Some verbs are in their simplest form, while some verbs have the letter S at the end. Verbs like brush, attract, close, and open are in their simplest form, while the others have the letter S at the end. When a verb is expressed in its simplest form, it is said to be in the root form. But when a verb ends with S, it is said to be in the S form. What we ought to know is when to use the root form and when to use the S form. For this, we need to revise the 3 persons of English grammar, wherein we come across all the subjects that appear in sentences. The usage of root form of the verb and S form of the verb depends upon the subject. The subjects that we come across in sentences are I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. The English grammar rule states that the third person singular takes only the S form of the verb. Subjects that come in the third person singular are he, she, and it. Look at the example. He walks in the evening. Here, he is the subject and the verb in the sentence is walks, which is in the S form. The English grammar rule states that the first person singular and plural takes only the root form of the verb. The subjects in the first person singular and plural are I and we. Look at the examples. I walk in the evening. We walk in the evening. The verb in these sentences is walk, which is in the root form. The English grammar rule also states that the second person singular and plural takes only the root form of the verb. The subject in the second person singular and plural is the same. It is the word you. Look at the sentence. You walk in the evening. The verb in both these sentences is walk, which is in the root form. The English grammar rule also states that the third person plural takes only the root form of the verb. The subject in the third person plural is they. Look at the sentence. They walk in the evening. Here, the verb in this sentence is walk, which is again in the root form. When we talk about the S form of a verb, The general notion is that the verb ends with s. Children, that's not the case every time. Sometimes es is added at the end of the verb, and sometimes ies is added at the end of the verb to take it to the s form. There are certain rules which will help us to understand these changes better. Normally, s is added to the root form of the verb to take it to the s form. The sun rises in the east. Here, the root form of the verb is rise. As a normal procedure, only s is added to take it to the s form. But if the second last letter of a verb ending with y is a consonant, ies is added to the verb. For example, she cries loudly at night. Here, the root form of the verb is cry. The second last letter of the verb is r, which is a consonant. In such cases, the y will be replaced with I and es will be added to the verb to take it to the s form. Thus, cry becomes cries with the spelling cries. If the second last letter of a verb ending with y is a vowel, only s is added to the verb. For example, he plays in the evening. Here, the root form of the verb is play. Here too, the verb ends with y, but the second last letter is a vowel. As per the rule, in such cases, just add s at the end of such words to take it to the s form. And in cases of verbs ending with sh, ch, ss, z, or x, es is added to the verb to take it to the s form. Let's see the example. Mother dog often kisses her puppy. Here, the root form of the verb is kiss, which ends with double s. As per the rule, in such cases, just add es at the end of the verbs to take it to the s form. Let's take another example. He watches the snake as it slowly moves away. Here, there are two verbs in this sentence, watches and moves. The root form of both these verbs are watch and move. The root form of the verb watch ends with ch. As per the rule, es is added to such verbs to take it to the s form. And with the verb move, only s is added to take it to the s form. By now, you must have understood how to frame sentences in simple present. Let's discuss the structure of a sentence in simple present tense once again. Subject plus verb plus object. Subject is what you learnt in the 3 persons of English grammar. That is I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. Verb may appear in the base form or s form. That depends upon the subject. If the subject belongs to the first person, second person, or third person plural, the verb will be in the base form. But if the subject belongs to the third person singular category, the verb will be in the s form. An object is optional. A sentence may have an object or may not. Now let's learn about simple past. But before that, let me tell you what past tense is. The word past refers to an action that is over. Past tense has 4 subparts which give a clearer understanding as to when an action got completed. Let's try to understand the first subpart, that is simple past. Simple past indicates an action that is over. It means it is used to talk about a completed action. Let's discuss the structure of a sentence in simple past tense. Subject plus verb plus object. Subject. You came across the different subjects in the three persons of English grammar, that is, I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. Verb. Verbs in simple past have two forms, regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs indicate the past form of verbs by adding ed at the end of the verb. They follow a similar pattern. For example, he jumped high. Here, the root form of the verb is jump, to which ed is added to take it to the past form. But if the second last letter of a verb ending with y is a consonant, the y has to be replaced with I and ed will be added to the verb to take it to the simple past tense. Let's see the sentence. He studied 10 hours a day during exams. Here, the root form of the verb is study. This verb ends with y and the second last letter is a consonant. Therefore, as per the rule, y is replaced with I and ed is added to it to take it to the simple past form. Irregular verbs do not follow a regular pattern to show the past form. For example, the birds flew away. The root form of the verb is fly, but the past form of fly is used here to indicate that the action is over. The past form of fly is flew. The mongoose caught the snake. Here, the root form of the verb is catch, but the past form of the verb is used here to indicate that the action is over. The past form of catch is caught. Like the main verbs, auxiliary verbs also have their past forms. Was, were, had, and did are the past forms in auxiliary verbs. Let's see a few sentences which have the past form of the verbs. Have a look at the list of irregular verbs and their past forms. I have 3 worksheets for you. In the first worksheet, you have to fill in the blanks with the simple present tense form of the verb. In the second worksheet, you have to fill in the blank with the simple past tense form of the verb. And in the third worksheet, you have to read each sentence carefully and try to understand whether the blanks should be filled in with simple present form or simple past form. Hope you all have understood everything about simple present and simple past. Thank you.